Hi everyone, it's Denis here and welcome to the School of Light. Well, today we're going to sit down. You can tell this is going to be a long one because I'm comfy. And we're going to have a chat about the Jeddah Formula One job that I did in February. So in the video, we're going to have a talk about how the job came about, all of the work that was done prior to getting on a plane. We're going to look at the locations, some of the images, some technical stuff. You're going to meet some of the incredible people that made this come together. And I hope you've got a comfy seat and a cup of coffee, because I've made the decision just to smash this out in one video. It kind of started many years ago when I made my first light painting image with a car. I've always been a car guy, and I made a bunch of images with a couple of friends and their cars. And then since then, I've been making a whole lot of light painting images with cars in all sorts of different locations and for different reasons. And then my great friend up in Scotland, David Gilliver, was contacted by an organization, by a guy looking to do this work in Saudi Arabia. Now, they contacted him because David has done some work with Lexus in the past, some amazing work, but also created a body of work around or with Saudi Arabia a while ago as well. So they contacted him. He got to take a peek at the brief. They pretty quickly identified that there were going to be some issues around calendar. Knowing that I had done a whole lot of car work in the past, he put Ludo onto me. The idea was they wanted to take this Formula One car, place it in a whole lot of iconic locations around Jeddah, which is where the Formula One race is in Saudi Arabia, and create light painting images around it. His idea was that, yes, they could go away and create these images using CGI. There surely was this gorgeous element of it where the creation of these images by a human, it would make for a great story, right? So by capturing it on video, you would see the creation of the work. We worked on a lot of different ideas. At one stage, there was even the idea of putting this car on a helicopter pad on a high-rise building. What we ended up settling on was this idea of iconic locations. And we picked a few locations and the fun started. Now, all the images that he had sent me, the CGI images, it was all about very bright, vibrant color flowing over the car. Obviously, right? Airflow. It lends itself just perfectly to this idea of light painting because of flow and texture and shape. So what I did very quickly was I set up a studio. The brief had some very clear colorways in it. So I decided on my different colors. Then I needed to think about gear, right? So here's some boring camera stuff. I needed high resolution, high quality, something I knew and trusted. I have a Sony a7R4 60 megapixel camera. Sony Australia lent me an a7R5 to put next to them. So I had the two stills camera next to them. Then I had a Olympus EM1X in case I arrived at any of these super bright locations and needed to use live composite. And then next to those, I had a Sony video camera because I knew I'd want to do some of my blend videos. And then I needed to power the two stills cameras. I didn't want to be mucking around with batteries. So I had battery packs. Behind the scenes cameras, I had the action camera and the pocket camera. So there was a lot of camera gear going on, all mounted on this rig. It was gorgeous. I love it. Oh yeah, actually before I left, I wanted to do some testing. Now I've done a lot of work around normal cars, but I found a guy here, Mark Goldsmith in South Australia, and he has an old school Formula 2 car. It's got wings and it's low, and it was so valuable because I realized that showed me a couple of things. One is that it was going to be tricky. Working down low, it was very tight. I didn't want to be knocking the car a lot. So Ollie and I went and spent a night there working on that car, and it was invaluable. So once I decided on that, I had all that set up. I had all my light painting gear. I needed to develop a system for backing stuff up. So I had backups and I had the laptop for doing my editing. Bundled it all up and we were off. So I got to Saudi Arabia, met the whole team, so beautiful group of people. And the very first thing that I wanted to do was just sort of allay these fears that I had of these super bright locations that I had seen. Two of the locations were fine. One of them was, yes, they were bright and there was a lot of light. I mean, one of them, the Jeddah gate, there was a dance party going on there. So I had this giant nightclub set up next to the gate. So it was bathed in light. Then we went to the lanterns. Now, you're going to learn that the lanterns was this location. I knew it was bright, but what I did learn is that it was going to be scary bright. But yeah, so we did a site recce, which was really valuable for me. It really put my mind at ease as to how bright these were. Yeah, there's this giant storage area where all of the Formula One marketing stuff is kept. Massive, you can imagine, huge location, and the cars were there. And we spent a night with one of the cars testing. But the most important thing that happened that night was that I got to spend some time with Ludo. Him and I developed so fast this ability to make an image, check it, decide what needed to be changed, and be honest with each other about what was possible on my front, and from him, what he wanted to see. He was the creative director. That relationship that we developed on that very first night ended up being the crux, I think, of the real success of the project. That ability for us to communicate in that way. Now, it helped that the things he was seeing on that first night were really blowing him away, right? Technically and creatively looking good. That first night of testing was really valuable. We worked through the night. We literally stopped making images when it was too bright because the sun had come up. So we had a night of testing, and then what we did is we shot off to the locations. And the first one we went to was Al Balad, which is the old part of Jeddah. Beautiful old buildings, narrow alleyways, paved ground. It's the old part of town. We got the car in there. Yeah, we were managing light for the first hour. Hind was there with us. She just had this ability to stand there and go, what lights do you want off? And I'd go, those ones. She'd disappear, the lights would turn off. So she was managing the light. Ludo was managing the place and the position. Fahad and the team were working to get all the tech set up. I was working on the blades. First night, my nerves were ragged, and this hilarious thing happened. I could see Ludo kind of looking at me, sort of watching me getting ready, and we had this kind of target time, and we were getting near there, and he comes over to me and he goes, are you ready, mate? You ready to go? And I'm like, well, yeah, kind of not, but maybe. And he says, I want to introduce you to someone. So we go over, and he introduces me to Nada, and he says, oh, this is Nada. Nada is with Saudi Motorsport, so she's one of the managers at Saudi Motorsport. And I'm like, oh, hi, okay, wasn't expecting this. And he just looks at me and he goes, can you make a portrait with Nada? Now, I had not even made a light painting image yet, and I was just like, whatever, let's just get it on. And so she came down, and she was very clear to me. She's like, I need to get moving. I said to Nada, I said, okay, sit here. You just need to not move. And so I scanned the car, did some light painting, and then I scanned her. There was this big ass television that everyone could see, her included, and it popped up on the screen, and it was perfect. It was unbelievable. She stayed still. I thought the light painting was great. Yeah, she was blown away. But what was beautiful about that is that, you know, she's the client. She realized pretty quick that what we were doing was a real thing. Everyone on the team got to see an image, and I got to do some testing in the location. So we made a whole lot of amazing images that night, and it was a really successful night. I got to meet the team, see that we worked cohesively through problems, which is the most important thing. Ashraf was there. We integrated a bit of his work into the shoot, which was really gorgeous. So that was great. We did that shoot. Then we shot off to the next night, I think, to Jeddah Gate, which was the place where this massive dance party had been the night before, and it was not there anymore. And it just came together really beautifully. But fundamentally, what happened that second night was we really just solidified this process that we had of making images. I had a great night that night because I'd kind of calmed down a bit. I was very tired because we were working through the night. Then we had what was the most terrifying of the locations. We went to the Lanterns. And the Lanterns is this spot that sits in the middle of one of Jeddah's famous roundabouts. It was very technical getting the car in there because it's this quite uneven surface. But we got everything in. We got the generator in. We got the car in, the TV, all the tools. We got everything set up. But it was so bright, and I knew it was going to be bright. There is a gate just off across the road, and because it's this super, super secure place, there are these spotlights pointing out onto the road, hence over to us, that were brighter than the surface of the sun, I tell you what. But this was a great location. It was so wild, because the first thing I realized really quickly is that I was going to be able to get it in one exposure. That was the night when everyone really came together. We made some great portraits with the client. And again, doing those portraits was great because it allowed me the ability to get to know a scene really well that was complicated before I sort of kicked into the main part of the night. What else happened that night? There was a lot of madness. I did portraits for the whole team there. They sat me in and they all light painted me. It was really fun. That was great. They did an amazing job, actually. But yeah, that was a very cool night. Ashraf, he jumped in and made his own light painting images. That was technically the most complicated place I've ever made a light painting image. Good time to talk about some technical stuff. So we knew we wanted this shape, a flow of air down the side of the car. And Ludo and I, the sort of relationship that we developed where just this brutal honesty, he'd be like, nah, go again, nah, go again, nah, go again. And I would change the shape, but I would be able to remember how I did it and remember. And we got this blue flow down the side of the car, kind of how we wanted it. So then we'd go and scan the rest of the car. So we'd scan the car every single time the car was scanned. Then we did the flames or the sparks out the back and then the blue line. And that image has ended up being probably, for me, the most technical and the most exciting because it was the most challenging and we absolutely smashed it. It was neat getting those 3 locations out of the way, and a couple of things really came out of that were really great. So Ludo could see pretty quickly that it was physically demanding for me. Actually scanning the car every single time became very hard. And there were a couple of nights where I was really struggling. And this guy's a freak. He said to me, hey, do you want me to do some scanning? And I was like, yeah, whatever, have a go. Picks up the scanner, perfect. Absolutely smashed it because he had been watching every single movement that I had done and replicated it so beautifully. But, and I don't know if I told him, but I certainly think about it quite a bit. Not anyone could have done that. You know, he has this, you need a bit of flair, a bit of flow, and a bit of sort of technical nous and creative nous to be able to just step up and do the stuff. So we got the 3 key locations out of the way, but this really neat thing kind of happened. We ended up being asked by Saudi Motorsport to make some portraits of their team on the Formula One track. And of course, the second that this was suggested, I just went completely bananas because I'm Formula One crazy, right? So that's my sport. And I knew that I was going to get a chance to go and have a look at the track. So we drove to the track. We decided that we needed to have a drive around the track to find a suitable location. So we all jumped into the SUV. It was the first corner at the chicane. I just went, this is the spot, like no brainer. Can we turn the lights off? Yes. Can we turn the big screens off? Yes. And picked the spot. I said to them on the night, I said, gee, it'd be nice to get some height. So the idea of having a scissor lift or some sort of crane was brought up. And then we went for a drive around the track, which was so beautiful. Oh my gosh, being able to be on a car on a Formula One track when it's lit up at night is just something else. It's such a very special experience for me. We go back to the pits, and then we're walking through the pit, one of the pit garages, and there's these 2 track cars. So these 2 Corvettes are sitting there, and the track manager chap, I was like, oh my gosh, dude, let's do a portrait. So I stood him near the car. I had my gear with me. I quickly grabbed it out and I made this light painting portrait with him in it. And it was an absolute banger. We brought the car onto the track. Arnaud went and got this giant crane thing. It was absolutely bonkers that we were going to put the cameras in. And yeah, we just started making these portraits of the Saudi Motorsport team. So they all came down. It was really beautiful. Making the images, but just seeing people's reaction to seeing this thing in real time, right? But then the question was, could we bring the Corvettes down and make a portrait of the Corvettes on the track? So we did that, but this thing happened that I want to share. I went over to him when we'd done the portrait and I said, I just need you to know how unbelievably special it was for me last night getting to go for a drive around the track in your car. And he just looks at me and he said, I was holding the camera, he says, put the camera down and get in the car. And Ludo was standing next to me and I handed Ludo the camera and got in the passenger seat of his Corvette. We were off. Oh my Lord. have a lap of a Formula One track in a quick car was one of the highlights of my life. I felt very lucky to have done that, but that was a buzz. And then we made all these images on the track. It was incredible. The idea was to do a group portrait. So I did a whole lot of singles. Then I put the team around the car. And I shit you not, this image you're looking at now, I hand scanned everyone. So I opened the shutter and I raced around and I scanned all of the people in the portrait by hand. And it was a cracker. And then we made all the images of the cars. But that night was very technical and we made a lot of images, working very hard to get a specific look with the flames and the sparks coming out the back. And we got it in the end. We absolutely nailed it. We did some portraits. I made a portrait of Ludo. They made one of me. And Ashraf was there. He was putting F1 team logos onto his pixel stick. This was absolutely on point. So we would do the light painting and then he would scan Ferrari, Mercedes-Benz, Red Bull flags into the backs. So it was a great night. I got to make images of a Formula One car, it's a mock-up of a Formula One car, obviously, on a track. I got to do a lap of the track, and everyone at Saudi Motorsport got to see how a light painting image is made. It was remarkable. And a real team effort, It's that night, more than any, I think, really, really sort of showed the importance of the group of people that came together to make this happen, Hello, sir.
Hello, Mr. Smith.
Hello.
Please come in your office for the day.
Oh, well, thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Are we going to have to be careful?
The big question is, Ludo, give me a percentage.
96.
96?
Yes.
We are getting very close.
Very close, yeah.
This is the Ash.
Yeah.
This is the Ash, the legend of light.
Come on, you're the legend.
The legend of light is the legend. This is me and Arnold at the Formula One track in our cherry picker,
Going up and up.
to take photos of the Formula. Oh, stop.
It's going to 40 meters.
اشوف حق سندي ارسلها في ايفنتس خلاص حيرسلها سندي ارسلها في ايفنتس بسرعه عشان ينقهروا جميعا يلا باي
Main straight, Formula One car, the D. Kind of sit at the back of the car. RGB lights, the whole shebang. So we got all of the main images out of the way, and then we moved on to the activations. So initially I was just going to be heading home after that, and they asked me to stay on for a few days to work with Ashraf on an activation. So the activation was we took this mock-up of a Formula One car down to a public area, which was on the foreshore, right next to the track, set the car up, and then members of the public would come through and we'd do portraits with them. Amazing location. There was this giant eagle thing behind the car. We would bring a member of the public in, then Ashraf would do a light painting with them, and then they'd go check it on the big screen, and then they'd have their image emailed to them. Every now and then I would step in and knock one out to give Ash a break. But that guy was an absolute machine. Now, I want to say on that first night, I can't remember if it was over or under 200, but something like 200 light painting portraits were made around that car. Super proud to have stayed on and had the opportunity to work with Ashraf. We connected with a guy, Misha, there, who was tasked with creating some video for social media. And it was really neat having him there because he would be present when we were light painting, and then at the end of the night we'd give him a slot. We had some RGB lights, tubes there, and he would work with his team. So him and his brother and another guy, they would create video content, going hard in some wild locations with a very short amount of time to work. obviously it would be stunning to have another crack at Formula One. I think it lends itself beautifully. I think there is this gorgeous synergy between light and air and flow and cars and space and movement. I think it's just natural, and I think we showed that on this job. So a massive thank you to the entire team over there, to Saudi Motorsport, to GAG, to GAG, to the support team on the ground there, my wife Kyrie for just again letting me go and experience this madness. But Ludo, dude, what a legend. You made this thing real, and you made it easy for me, and I appreciate that from my heart. So I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope you've enjoyed a bit of an insight as to what a job of this scale looks like. Connecting light painting with commercial work is a thing. Off to the next thing. Formula One, light painting, Jeddah, amazing humans, just gorgeous, gorgeous humans is the key thing. Thanks for coming along. Peace.